Yo, Hot Toys has just unveiled some sweet new Moon Knight figures for us. And while they both look really good, one is likely worth more your cash versus the other, but that's just my opinion, right? So let's take a closer look at this new pair and see what they both have to offer. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be diving into the new two Moon Knight figures coming out from Hot Toys. These pair of figures are based off of the Moon Knight costumes featured on the MCU TV series over on Disney Plus. Now, it's also important to note that one of these is a brand new release, while the other is a 2.0 Artisan Edition. Right over on the left here, we have Mr. Knight, aka Mark Spector and or Stephen Grant, depending on which day it is, right? This is a brand new release from Hot Toys and is looking really solid so far. And over on the right is the new limited edition Artisan 2.0 release of Moon Knight in his really more standard superhero outfit, right? Now, this is the second iteration of this figure that will be released soon. And what's interesting is that the original 1.0 version was released around 2 years ago, so not too long. And while the figure still looks amazing, it still kind of feels more like a cash grab to me, right, in terms of this version 2.0. But nevertheless, I'm here to preview these guys over to you. So let's take a closer look at some of their details. First off, I want to start off with Mr. Knight since he's the newer character released out of the two. Now, this figure features a character in his suited look versus his superhero slash armored look, right? He comes with some good accessories so far, and everything seems to be there in terms of what the character model was rocking from his TV series. So in terms of accessories, it comes with those separate rolling eyeballs, the LED light up eye functions, which is really cool. 8 pairs of interchangeable hand molds with a nice white leather look to it. A really nice and clean tailored white suit, which looks really good, by the way, guys. A scarab item that was a big part of the TV series. And of course, his awesome truncheons that come in a pair of 2, right? So overall, while his kit doesn't have the large accessory set, it still features some nice goodies that are really original and model accurate to the Mr. Knight character. So pretty decent job by Hot Toys for building out this nice set so far. Right, taking a closer look at their general designs, you can see here that they have a great Mr. Knight sort of sophisticated look and nice display ability to him, right? The body mold itself looks to be pretty tight in terms of his appendages and scale. The tailored suit looks like it's just been done very well and nicely represented in the figure form, right? The left picture has him in a more static museum pose, and you can really see how his right arm bends pretty easily and effortless, right? So no real restriction there, which is good, right? You can also see how his tailored suit looks from the front facing side and check out all of the nice details, right? And I really like how they delivered on Mr. Knight's double-breasted suit vest as well, because sometimes they can look pretty cheesy and just looks too wide, but here it came out really well. And especially the stitching on the jacket and the pants itself. Right over on the right-hand side, Mr. Knight is rocking a nice, like sort of slight dynamic pose. You can really see some of the good articulation, not just on his arm bends, again, but also his legs as well. Right, you see some good bending at the knees and the hamstrings. So he also features that slight torso twist, which is good even with the suit on. So pretty good articulation from what I can see so far. And overall, like he has great likeness to the original character model, and really like how the figure models have came out so far. Right here, are a couple of closer shots of Mark slash Steve unmasked, as well as his suit. Right, the head sculpt here looks really amazing. You can get a nice full bust shot of him on the left hand side. Right, the expression on his face looks really similar to Oscar Isaac, which is awesome, and the lifelike realism just matches very well. Right, in terms of the suit, you can really get a nice close-up of the stitching work that has been done and provided to us all over. Right, they were even able to capture all of the sleek lines marked on the inside of that chest jacket area. Right, even the buttons, although like a small detail, look great in terms of coloring and just like the symmetrical placement of them, right? And over on the right hand side, Mr. Knight is rocking his sort of standard museum pose along here with the truncheons, right? The truncheons themselves came out really great. Have some really nice like coloring and sculpting to them. You know, my feel is the Hot Toys did a really great job of etching the symbols onto these truncheons, and you can really see how defined they are, especially when Mr. Knight holds them, right? So overall, a great figure body, generally speaking, and the suit details and the truncheons look pretty good, right? Now, quickly taking a closer look at the new head sculpt, this is where a lot of Hot Toys like more intricate work really resides with. Oscar Isaac's face here and the hair are just great and match, you know, the actor, right? In terms of the hair, the sculpting came out pretty phenomenal, in my opinion. It has some really nice flow and coloring to it, like it's really spot on. And it just feels like it's well cleanly done and just doesn't feel like it's too cheesy at all, right? In terms of the head sculpt face, Oscar's face looks great and really spot on in terms of the expression, right? The skin tones, the eyes, I just match him perfectly from the TV series and how he sort of enacts Mark Spector. So to me, this is an excellent overhead sculpt that really gives us like an artisan type of look without having to pay that actual artisan price, right? Next, moving on to the new limited edition 2.0 Artisan Moon Knight. He's definitely looking pretty sweet. Now, what's a little daunting to me is that the 1.0 version was really absolute fire, right? This new 2.0 version is more or less the same, but with some updated artisan styles to it, like especially the head sculpt. The body mold and costume are essentially reissues with no like major issues from what I can see, other than maybe some like weathering effects on the costume, right? Also, some of the gold accents on his costume, like the chest symbol rather, do feel a little more prominent and sharp a little. Otherwise, the 1.0 costume was still done very well in my opinion and really spot on in terms of the design and general delivery, right? This new updated 2.0 is really the same to me, and it does really good job of capturing the exact character model and likeness from the TV series, which is good, right? Where I see the obvious change here is the head sculpt and the elevated sort of feel to it, right? But I'm still not convinced that this new 2.0 version is really worth purchasing yet. But let's dive a little more into details and find out why. Right, in terms of the new 2.0 accessories, there are a few updated changes. You still get the several different hand molds, the different size variations of moon crescents, the figure stand, right? But this time you don't get that large moon crest that you had in 1.0 and just the standard figure stand, right? And the sculpted costume, but this time around, again, it has some more weathering effects, all versus the original predecessor. But what's really new and kick-ass about this is the head sculpt, right? The Artisan Edition includes a new unmasked face sculpt of Oscar Isaac, right? Which is absolutely incredible. I'll dive a little more into that later in the video, but in terms of the remaining accessories, does also come with the rolling eyeballs and the wool hair implants, right? So again, while these accessories are great for an Artisan Edition, it's still hard to justify whether it's worth purchasing this, especially if you have the 1.0 version already. Now, with that being said, though, if you are a big fan of Oscar Isaac and having him displayed on mass, then this is obviously a must for you, right? These two shots give you some nice closer looks at the actual head sculpt. It's very similar to Mr. Knight, rather, especially in terms of facial expressions, skin tone, etc. But what greatly differs between the two is really the hair, right? Now, Moon Knight 2.0 features a different hairstyle, right? And the hair itself uses wool implants versus sculpted hair. But for an artisan edition, though, this obviously makes sense as it's part of Hot Toys standard line. But the coloring itself of the hair does seem a little too light for me. And it feels like it's a little too much on the faded light brown side, right? Also, it just doesn't feel as good as Mr. Knight's head sculpt. Like that head sculpt, in my opinion, is better than Moon Knight 2.0, right? But the likeness to Oscar Isaac is pretty uncanny here and really gives you that tough, like Moon Knight look to him, which is good. In terms of the costume, you can see some additional weathered effects on in its entirety, especially on the right hand side. It's slightly more weathered, definitely, than the first version. It feels a shade more darker as well, right? Less like bright moon. It looks great overall, though, and the head sculpt or unmasked head sculpt is just really incredible, right? So no matter what we say, it did come out really good. Now, pre-ordering is currently live on Sideshow's site now, and feel free to use the link in our bio if you need help getting it there. Mr. Knight will run you around $255 and expected to ship around Q4 25 into Q1 of 26, whereas 2.0 Artisan Moon Knight will run you much higher at a price point of $425 and expected to ship around the same time, right? It's also important to note that the Artisan Moon Knight is a limited edition, expect to only have around 2,500 units globally. So be sure to, RSVP yours now if you plan on picking them up at all, right? Otherwise, in terms of overall cost and value, I think that Mr. Knight gives you a really solid figure and set. Mr. Knight, Moon Knight 2.0 rather, I personally don't plan on picking them up because I already have the 1.0 version. And, although I do like Oscar Isaac, I'd rather display Moon Knight with his mask on versus unmasked as well, right? But with that being said, if you don't have the 1.0 version of Moon Knight, and like Hot Toys, like sort of artisan style head sculpt like this, then definitely consider picking them up, right? But just remember, it will cost you a pretty penny, however. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for joining me today as we explore the new Moon Knight figures coming out soon from Hot Toys. Are you a fan of Mr. Knight at all? Or how about the new 2.0 Artisan Edition of Moon Knight? Let me know below in the comments what really stands out to you and if you plan on picking either of them up. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more content on the coolest Marvel figures around. Until next time, folks, keep on collecting.